But I'm going to start straight away and introduce our first four presenters. Helen and Julie, Harry and Rebecca have come from New Zealand, and they're scholars. They were summer students for one of the first Wikimedia Alliance projects in our ECAP region. They worked with the Auckland War Memorial Museum on local history. I have to slow down so you cannot do what I did, sorry. Local history for the new curriculum in New Zealand. So please welcome them, and they're going to present as a team. I'll leave you to it. Thank you.
Hi everyone, we're the Auckland Museum interns. This is our first time at any Wikipedia event outside of the New Zealand WikiCon, so we're very excited to be here. Thank you for having us and being so welcoming. Our presentation, as Prue sort of described, is about our experience as interns for Auckland Museum. So yes, it was a very incredible opportunity we had over the summer. We first made our Wikipedia accounts November of 2023, so this is all very, very fresh for us. So we're going to be talking about our individual experiences, what we learned, our struggles, what we found really interesting about the whole Wikipedia process.
But move away from the slide so that people can that's not how to do that. But
Exactly. So we're just going to go through and introduce ourselves. So my name is Harry. I am a law and geography student at the University of Auckland.
My name is Helen. I am also a law student. I also study a double major of global studies, specializing in international relations and business with a minor in economics.
Hi, I'm Rebecca again. I just started my postgraduate study in history, specializing in modern history, also at Auckland University.
Hi, I'm Angeli. I am studying a Master's of Heritage Conservation, specializing in museums and cultural heritage at the University of Auckland as well. So we spent our summer break spending 10 weeks at Auckland Museum interning with the Collection Information Access team. During our internship, we delved into the world of Wikipedia. This internship was generously supported by the Wikimedia Foundation. So today we're just going to talk you through our experience. So that's Auckland Museum just there, which is one of the most prominent museums in Auckland. It was a really great opportunity. Yeah, we're excited to share with you.
So our internship fit into the new New Zealand history curriculum that's being developed across New Zealand high schools. So the big thing about this new curriculum is they want to focus a lot more on really local history and really catering the history to all the different areas of New Zealand and not just doing national histories. So our project was what we were trying to do was supporting students and teachers gaining more information about their area through Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is the most accessible source for students and teachers, and we wanted to make really important local history way more easy to access, and that was our biggest goal for this project.
So our overall general aim for this project, as you can see, was to address the knowledge gaps and information bias on Wikipedia, particularly in relation to Tāmaki Makaurau Auckland. We had some more specific goals, such as creating 40 new articles and hosting an editathon as well.
So we were really lucky during our internship that we were able to have weekly speakers from the Wikipedia community come in and talk to us, either through in person or through Zoom. So we were very fortunate for that. And with all that knowledge that we gained from them, we were able to host an editathon. We hosted that earlier this year in February. Really great turnout, and these are all the attendance results that we got.
So we're each just going to go through some of the work that we did during the internship and some of the experiences that we had. So I'll start. My name on Wikipedia was Some23. I focused on two main areas when I was in the project. These were natural history and queer history. I started off focusing on natural history. I'm a geography student, so that's kind of an interest of mine. So Auckland is located on a volcanic field with 50 active volcanoes, which led to some pretty amazing geological features. However, I've lived there for 6 years and I knew nothing about them, probably because they weren't on Wikipedia, which is like my first port of call when I'm looking for information. So I really wanted to try and upload some information about these places. And also that gave me a good chance to actually visit the places as well and take some photos for Wikimedia Commons. So I started off learning about the Almora rock forest, which you can see on the left there. That's a photo I took. It's a volcanic rock bed, which is located pretty close to central Auckland, actually. And I've never heard of it before. And it's one of the only ones that is left in the area, although there used to be many. I also learned about the Takapuna fossil forest on Auckland's North Shore. This was basically an area which used to be a forest of trees where a lava flow came through and encased the tree trunks, leaving some pretty amazing molds, which are still there today. After that, I shifted my focus to queer history, which is another interest of mine, but also an area that I didn't feel I knew much about. Auckland has a rich queer history, though much of the information is missing from Wikipedia. So my goal was to make some contribution in the short time that I had to address this, just to signify the fact that these queer histories have always been present in Auckland. I studied activists such as Nana Demalo and Chrissy Watoko, who advocated for transgender rights in New Zealand at a time when they experienced significant abuse by the police as well as other groups. I studied meeting places such as the Kudoro Coffee Lounge in Auckland. These were places that fostered a sense of community in Auckland's queer community as it established. I even learned and wrote about a mayor from New Zealand who was in prison for murder after a man threatened to out him as gay, basically. Now that was more of a wormhole that I went down. It wasn't super relevant to Auckland history, but that's kind of the way he's Wikipedia distracted. But overall, I learned that there was a large and diverse queer history in Auckland, and I barely scratched the surface of covering it in my short time there. There's plenty more work to be done. Next slide, please. So my main challenge that I faced in creating these pages was finding sources that are reliable under Wikipedia's definition. This is something that I'm sure many of you have dealt with as well. So a lot of the information I found, particularly about early queer establishments in Auckland, such as bars and clubs, was that the information was anecdotal. So it wasn't in academic sources, it was rather in social media and blog posts, which, as you might know, aren't seen as reliable under Wikipedia's reliability scheme. And so because of that, this information, while it did hold value, wasn't able to be used in my pages. And I think that led to a few gaps in the research that's still there today. And I know that this goes far beyond queer history. There are many other areas that are under-addressed in Wikipedia because of this lack of sources that are seen as reliable. And so perhaps it could be time to revise the way that we define reliable sources on Wikipedia, just to make sure that all voices are being heard. And I'll now pass you on to Helen, I think. Next slide.
My name is Helen. My username is HS17127. And at the start of my internship, I decided to focus my research on two themes. So the first theme was culture, and the second was community. Right. So for my first theme, culture, I decided to make an article relevant to my own culture, which is Samoan. So I started by creating a page for Uluwano who live here,
who is a Samoan self-made millionaire who immigrated from Apia, which is the capital of Samoa, to South Auckland. And from there, that's where he went to school, he went to work, and later developed his software technology company, Cognito, which he later sold to Silicon Valley. Huge success. I selected him as my first person to make a page for because we both grew up in the same town. Growing up in South Auckland, most of the kids around me were brown. So that was mainly Pacific Islanders, Southeast Asians, the indigenous Māori, as well as majority were Indians. It was special for me to be able to celebrate someone of my own ethnicity and to also celebrate someone who represented the area I grew up in, as it wasn't somewhere where a bunch of people were coming out with massive success stories. Where I grew up in South Auckland, Papatoetoe is recognized, when I was growing up, was mainly recognized for its poverty, for its underdevelopment, and it's basically just an area for a bunch of immigrants to arrive. And I really enjoyed making this page because I felt like it was quite an honor actually to celebrate someone who made it out of South Auckland, had his name put on like a global scale, and kind of inspire the rest of South Auckland kids growing up in the next generation. I like to think that my page really celebrates his awards and accolades, and as a Pacific person, that's something that's really important to me, as it's something I didn't see very often on Wikipedia. I didn't see a lot of Pacific people with a bunch of success on there, so I felt that was me kind of taking one step closer to that goal. And I also felt that Lorena was a perfect person to contribute to our project scope, as I personally believe he is an ideal example of someone for younger Pacific kids in school in New Zealand to kind of look up to or to follow in the steps of. As well as that, by ethnicity, I am Samoan, but by nationality, I am a Kiwi. And for me, I feel like making this page for Lorena was also a nice way for me to connect with my culture, but to also show Samoan representation online, virtually on a global scale. And then my second article for culture was on New Zealand author Peter Visage, who was raised in Southeast Auckland and is notably known for his books on Māori mythology. And I chose Peter Visage because he was quite significant to me growing up in New Zealand during my school years. So as a Samoan born child, I didn't know much about the country I was living in, the country I was born in. And my very first introduction to Māori culture, the language, their ideas, their stories, their beliefs were his books. And so I thought it was very important to focus on him. Now, the very first book I made the very first page I made was one of his books in the beginning, which basically told the Māori creation story for children. I created a Wikipedia page for this book as a thanks to Peter Visage, and also created more pages for each of his notable books, such as Pioneer and the Reefs, Maui and the Fishhook, and many more. The way I see it, this page is kind of an ode to Peter Visage for the gift of knowledge he shared with me as a child, and by putting this page in Wikipedia for others to see, I'm kind of passing on that knowledge to the next generation of kids, making it more accessible to them growing up in New Zealand. And then for my second theme, which was community, I made a massive page of all the public parks in Papatoetoe, which is the town where I'm from. So Papatoetoe is the largest suburb in Auckland by population, and is known for its diverse community and its greenery. And so this set of research was very important and actually very enjoyable for me, as it's almost an ode to the hometown that crafted me, created me, helped me become who I am, and I felt that was very important to me. So during my internship, I digitalized information about each park that I researched, and I did this by using the museum archives, books from the museum's research library, and I also contacted different libraries around Auckland, and also actually got in contact with the Auckland Council itself to try and find really old information, really important primary sources, and that actually worked. I actually got a bunch of photos and a lot of outdated information to use on the page. This was the page I enjoyed making the most over the whole 10 weeks of my internship, because I did a lot of research outside of work. My partner and I, who's also born and raised in public toilet, we actually went around taking photos of all those public parks. So all those photos that you can see on there, we took ourselves, not that important, right? And then we uploaded those into the Wikipedia Commons. There's still more to be uploaded, but those are on there right now on the page. Actually going out and taking those photos was also very useful because it showed me how the land had developed over time. So for Burnside Park, which is this bottom one here, that park actually isn't even there anymore. It's been cut in half. There's a Burger King on top of it now, which I thought was pretty interesting, and I added that in. Also, Albion Park, which is this one at the top here, has been recently developed. The playground's gone. It's a whole new thing now. So I was able to include a lot of information about its recent upgrades, its recent development, and all the new routes it has. I had the most fun with this Wikipedia page as I got to revisit the routes I would walk home from school on as well. So I felt that was also a nice way to reconnect with my community as I moved out of my hometown to go to uni in the city. And in the future, I also want to create more pages for more parks and also more of the other historical buildings and film. As for the obstacles I faced, well, Uluwaiana, so that was the very first person I spoke about. We were both of us are Samoan, so we both have very similar ideals and values in terms of how we view the world, view personal information. And so Samoan culture is very oratory. There's no physical stuff to really pass on information. Everything is told through word of mouth and through stories. And so I found it very difficult to find a lot of physical, tangible, or written evidence to kind of back up all the information I'm putting on this page. And so I couldn't find a solution to that. The majority of this page is based on his newspaper articles, his company websites, his partner's websites, and so on. With Peter Gassage, I struggled in the very beginning actually with writing with a neutral tone. I have since gotten better at that. I found the solution for that was just to write more pages and kind of just let myself learn what words to use, and which vocabulary was compatible. And then something with both of them that I struggled with was the concept of privacy. So in this picture on the left here, I actually had someone from Uluwaiana's family edit my page, as there is something in the personal life she didn't feel like should be on there. So that was kind of a moment for me to reflect on whether the information I was putting on the page was respecting the family and the man himself, the person I was writing about. That was something to think about. And with Peter Gassage's page, I had the same query where he has passed away, so that I had to write about his death. Someone didn't think that was necessary to put in his personal life, so there was an obstacle between cultural influences, whether people really need to know this information about him, and so on. So that was something I struggled with. And to solve that, I emailed Uluwaiana himself on his work email just to see whether he would respond and be okay with me putting that information up there. He didn't respond, and so after talking to a colleague of ours at the museum, who is the Wikimedia resident, we decided that if you're a notable person, you will have a Wikipedia page regardless of whether you want it or not. So that's how we solved the privacy issue. Thank you. I will now pass on to Rebecca.
Hello everyone, kia ora. That's how you say hello in Te Māori. So my name is Rebecca. My username on Wikipedia is World's Greatest Mum. It's not true at all, but it is my username. So I started off, my very first Wikipedia page I made was on this man right here on the left. His name is Tarati Irirangi, and he is a historic Māori chief. As a Māori historian, that is my background. That is what I'm very specifically comfortable researching in. And also as a Māori woman myself, I was going to start with Māori history. That was what I wanted to do on Wikipedia. And interestingly enough, Tarati Irirangi he is a very important chief in Auckland's history. He's also my probably great grandfather. And so I was very excited to make this page specifically because I knew he was a very important man, and I saw names, roads were named after him, and my family talked about him constantly, and I knew he was so significant to the history of the place that I lived, but he didn't have a Wikipedia page. And I know that we're all very aware that if something isn't on Wikipedia, the general public thinks that that means it isn't important, it is notable. And I knew that that wasn't true, but the world, who doesn't know about Taratirirangi, wouldn't know that's true. So that was something that was really special for me to make. It was really important for me to put some of my own history on Wikipedia. It's really nice, especially in New Zealand, and this is probably goes everywhere. Every single white person has a page, and very few non-white people have pages, and that's just something that we're constantly working to fix. I then moved on and really still staying in history. I'm really quite scared of other areas. I then moved on to make a page about this mission station. So New Zealand has a huge missionary history, a huge history of colonization. The mission stations, like this one here in Maraetai, which is in Auckland, were very important to the history of Auckland, which is the focus of our research. And when there was no presence of these mission stations, people were completely unaware of this history. And especially relating to our scope, as we're putting this for education, we're putting this information into high schools, this is really important for students to understand about the place they're living. And then finally, over on the far right, this is a page I made for Samoa House, which is a really significant community space for the Samoan and Pacific Island population in Auckland. Auckland has a huge Pacific community and a huge migrant community, and it's so important to the culture and history of Auckland, yet it didn't have a page. This was briefly on the Did You Know front page of Wikipedia, which is very exciting, and I was really pleased that that kind of boosted its understanding of the world. The biggest challenge that I would say that I faced on my Wikipedia journey thus far was when I was doing my research. A lot of my research was Māori, and a lot of that research I knew a lot more than the academic sources, because there was a lot of oral history that my family had shared with me. There were sources that Wikipedia wouldn't deem as reliable, but also my family didn't want to disperse. There's information that we had that was a treasure to us. There's a lot of information in Māori culture about ancestry, about ways of being, cultural things that's very special to us specifically. And that's not something that we want to share broadly without having any control over it. An example I like to give is like on my arm here is my moko, which is a Māori tattoo. And I think it's so important, I'll switch so you can see. I think it's so important that people across the world know about moko and understand the history behind them and the meaning behind them. But my moko specifically is there's lots of details and features specific to my tribe. And the information within that and my moko, my tribe doesn't really want to share, but we want to share about moko in general. So that's sort of how I like to think about this challenge that I faced. And I think it's really important as Wikipedia is continuing to develop and we are becoming more inclusive and we have more diversity, that when it comes to Indigenous knowledge, we are centering Indigenous voices. We are giving Indigenous peoples, wherever they may live, the power and authority to have control over how their information is being shared. It's so special that we can share this information so broadly, but it's also so important that the people most impacted by that information have some say in it. So I like to think it's like always asking and always learning, and then together as one large Wikimedia family, we can kind of build and continue to grow that knowledge. Thanks so much.
Hi everybody, I'm Angelie, known as Winnie's Wiki Worker on Wikipedia. So Auckland is one of the more ethnically, culturally and religiously diverse cities in New Zealand. There are a range of diverse suburbs, histories and people. However, this is often excluded in New Zealand school curriculums in favour of colonial histories. So through this project, I wanted to build better representation for migrant stories and people in Auckland like myself. So I live in one of Auckland's oldest sports suburbs, called Onehunga, which is home to diverse ethnicities and cultures. So I started this project by just walking around my local area and looking at this beautiful building that I walk past every day. And I sort of realized that these sites of worship are really important community hubs for a lot of different types of people. So this is the Gothic Revival Church, Our Lady of the Assumption, and it was built in 1889. And because New Zealand is quite a young country with its colonial history, this is one of the older buildings that we have. It's a very multicultural church that hosts many different languages and services such as Samoan, Tongan, Slovakian, Filipino, and even Tamil. So, yeah. Next slide, please. While I researched quite a large range of topics, my three main focuses were heritage buildings, migrant and South Asian people in New Zealand, and contemporary art. One of my most notable articles was about early Indian migrant Ponam Singh, who's pictured here, who arrived in Auckland in 1890. His life and career movements were quite well documented, and he found success as a confectioner. So he was one of very, very few migrants whose stories were told through newspapers, and so I got to write a Wikipedia page on this man and give some representation to the migrant story that so many New Zealanders can relate to. So I also submitted his page to the Did You Know, and it was accepted, and I just felt really proud that that was reaching more people, yeah, so it boosted its views and everything, so that was very exciting. And I'm happy that it was shared with a wider audience and created potential for other New Zealand migrants like myself to see themselves represented in our country's history, because migrants are so important to the history of New Zealand. Okay. So the obstacles I encountered with my research were, the first thing I found difficult was allowing my pages that I spent a lot of time crafting, a lot of time researching, allowing other people to come and make changes to them as a researcher and a perfectionist. This was really hard because I'd be like, oh, they changed nothing, but I worked quite a lot of time on that sentence. So that was something that I just had to fully get over and learn that collaboration is the most important part of Wikipedia, and what makes it so special is the community, and everyone has a chance to contribute and build the knowledge. And I think that that is a really, really cool thing. The other thing was lack of secondary sources and maybe not feeling that the content that I was creating was detailed enough, but I resolved that by just being happy that the representation was there, and I figured that that is what matters, that in the future people can add to those and it can just keep building.
We had a couple, these are our outcomes basically. So we had some outcomes that were our internship outcomes. So we hit our targets, we made our articles, we had our editors on. We're very proud of ourselves. We put loads of pictures on Wikimedia Commons. So that was really exciting. We also had the pleasure of representing our communities on Wikipedia. That was really special for all of us, definitely, like see things that were so important to us being able to be shared across the world. That was really, really exciting. And lastly, we were able to attend WikiCon New Zealand. That was really cool to meet other Wikipedians and kind of be like, oh my God, other people are doing this. I'm not just typing like a crazy person. And then it was also it's really incredible that we're here. This is our first proper big Wikimedia event. We're very, very new to this. This is an incredible opportunity. So thank you so much for listening to us, for having us here, and for being so welcoming. Thank you very much.
We just wanted to open up for questions. If anyone has any, we're just happy to. Oh, happy.
So my question is for all of you. Are you planning to continue contributing to Wikimedia projects? Or was it because, what usually happens with student projects is that people do it and then they disappear?
Yeah, I think we've all had this discussion and I think we've all still been contributing and we all, well, I know myself, do a lot of research constantly with with my university course. And so I do feel like I have all this information and I think I will be sort of feeding it into Wikipedia because now we know how to use it and how it works and how great the community is, I think. But I'm definitely going to keep contributing.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Sorry, follow-up question. Do you know about other Wikimedia projects, not Wikipedia? Because, for example, a lot of some oral history and everything, the primary sources can be uploaded. It's just not to Wikipedia.
So yes, we do know about other Wikimedia ventures. We've used Wikimedia Commons a lot. Truthfully, due to the nature of our internship, Wikipedia was our primary focus, and also due to the length of time that we had, we were largely focused on Wikipedia. However, with many of our Wikimedian guests that we had, a lot of them taught us about Wikisource and Wikidata and Wiktionary and all those. So we're very aware of them. We unfortunately we're so new. So we'll get to them slowly as we learn. But yes, we are aware, thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, I'm writing the notes and I missed the last app.
Oh, yes.
About meeting like the Wikipedia community.
No, sorry. I'm writing the notes in the Etherpad and I missed your last app.
Yes.
Last one.
Oh, do you want to go back to it? Oh, would you be able to?
That's great, thank you.
Okay.
Any more questions?